Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? Welcome to another stream. I hope I'm audible. And this is going to be just like last week. We had a really good discussion. We had a really good live stream. A lot of people chimed in. We we had some interesting questions as well. So we're going to do the same. We're going to have question answers. And I'm gonna show the ticker as well. So I'm going to also show the link to share the link to invite you folks as well. So what you can do is the only thing that you need to have is your camera enabled if you join, or maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll have the cameras off today. We'll see. But I think it's better to have a camera on. But feel free to join. So last time as well, and I think this is. I mean, I don't think this should be early in Pakistan at least, or India. This should be, I think, 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. if I'm correct. So you can do two things. You can either ask the question in the chat, or you can join the live stream. So I've shared the link of the live stream in the chat. You can see it right here as well. The only thing I think that's mandatory is that you have your camera on, and then you can ask questions. Today the weather is also pretty nice here in Stockholm. It has been snowing for a few days, but today it's I think it's still maybe in positive. I believe it's 3 degrees at the moment. So not too much sun today. Not too much sun, but it's still not too bad. Should I let's see. I'm going to try to see what happens when I start sharing my screen. What does this do? Okay, so this makes it like this. And if I go to demo, I think press replace screen sharing. Oh, okay, interesting. So then I should be trying here. So if I try to screen share here, okay, this is what we are looking for. Okay, interesting. Customize. Maybe I should be doing like this. Aha, nice. Like it. So again, feel free to ask questions in the chat, or you can join the live stream as well. I've shared the link in the description, so you should be able to see that as well, just like this. So should be able to see the link right here. So it's 3 degrees today. Not too sunny. We had sun the last week, but today we don't have it. But this is still better than -8 or -7, which was a few days ago. So not too bad. Again, if you have any questions related to web dev or AI or software development or careers, feel free to share in the chat, or you can join the live stream. I'm going to share the link again in the chat. And we can have multiple people at the same time as well. So you can see the link right here. And I'm going to also change it. So you can see the link right there. And what I'll do is, if nobody joins, then I'll just continue working on some things I was working on. But if someone joins, we can also take question answers in the chat as well. So I hope that makes sense. Alrighty. Let's see. I was working on one of the things in Angular cookbook. So where is that? There we go. So I'm going to keep the ticker on, so you can ask any questions in the chat as well, or you can also join the stream as well. So feel free to do so. And one of the things that I was trying to do last night was to update the Angular cookbook and the repository for this. So if I check the build process, this should be working fine. So one of the things that was reported by someone in the chat was how we are running our scripts for the Angular cookbook. Because when we ran, there was an issue. Maybe I can highlight this for you so some of you may actually use that. So this one, when we were running like a command, for example, serve, etc., using sh scripts, this did not work on Windows. And that is because in Windows, it doesn't work with shell scripts by default. But when you try to open git bash, you go and right click, you say git bash, and then inside you run sh scripts, then they work really nice. But not everybody knows that, and that was a bit of a struggle. I did not know that. But yeah, I'm gonna also increase the size. I think this is a bit better. And I'm not really sure why do we have a mirroring camera. This. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. So again, feel free to join the chat. Feel free to ask the questions in the chat as well, or you can join the live stream as well. You can see the link right here, or you can just click it from the chat, and you can join as well. I'm going to share this. I'm probably going to make it so we can share it time and often. And I'm gonna also do one more thing because I did not do it. I don't have OBS opened. Let me quickly open OBS as well. Da, 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 da. There we go. And OBS. There we go. Good, good, good. All right, good. So yes, I was talking about this. So what we did in this particular pull request that actually fixed it was if you're building something similar and you want shell scripts to run on Windows PCs or cross-platform, one of the things that you can do is instead of having to run the shell scripts, you can actually replace them with Node.js scripts. So that's one of the things that we did. We replaced, or I replaced this with all the scripts that we had. We replaced that with the Node.js versions. Now this PR is huge. It's going to be a bit slow finding those things. But let me show you, and let me actually see if the deployments actually work. The GitHub action was green, which I'm assuming, which means that everything worked. But let's see. You see my PC is getting really slow. And it's just loading because it's a huge pull request. Come on, you can do it. Or I can open it into a new tab. Not to put too much pressure. But this is okay, so this is still building, so it's not done yet. Yeah, so this is gonna build all the applications now that we have merged this. And then it's going to deploy it. And if everything works fine, then we should have this thing right here. And we should be able to see applications running. So all the applications from my book should be here. Nice. Good. So we'll see when the time comes. But let's go into this view. I don't know if there's a way to do half and half a screen on the view. Let's try this. So if I go here and if I do half screen, okay, so yes, we can do this. Do it like this. Half and half screen. If we do contain, we see something like this, which again is not too bad. And we could do show time. We could maximize this as well. Interesting. And we could also do spotlight, so only one person is there. And then we have picture in picture. Aha, this is the one. And we have thumbnails as well. Okay. Yeah, we can keep it like this. So let's see. I'm gonna also open my other links as well. By the way, is this time okay to go live or is it too early? Because I thought people are actually awake by this time, but it's Sunday. So I might be actually wrong. Let's have a quick look at this. I'm going to also look into so we did have this working, and I think I also built this guy and the link to it. I think we recently crossed about 60 students on the React course. Yeah, 61 so far. Good. That's actually nice. But we'll see. We'll also send a reminder maybe later on this. In the meantime, we can also look into one more thing. Do you remember we had an application that we were using for the soundboard? We can maybe fix that as well. I mean, I have multiple things. We could start looking into the book side of things. So we can write the book, or I can focus on the book in the meantime. Let's do that actually. So let's go to cover. So when there comes a question in the chat, I'm going to be able to answer that. If anyone wants to join the stream, they can also join the stream. I'm going to continue on the book in the meantime. Maybe we can also update the ticker as well. Where is it? Modern Signals book. And we can also open this. Let's quickly go and open the book. And let's quickly go here. Okay, so if I remember correctly, I don't know. No, I don't think we have more code to pull from. We did work on the chapter 8, if I remember correctly. No, the 9 and 10 I didn't really work on yet. So let's quickly start with that. So if we do nx serve chapter 8, let's see. Can we also change this to be a circle? So we can do a square like this, or circle. Circle is pretty nice as well. Or maybe we can go with this for now. Okay. Customize beta. Let's see. Let's open the. We can also switch to this. We can also go here. Cool. So the application is working now. This was the last thing that we were working on with regards to the tests. Okay, we're gonna probably fix the tests, but I also want to see if we did anything related to chapter 9 or 10. Yeah, we did go ahead with chapter 10 as well, but I think there's I think it's also based on discussions team. And we can also mention here as well. Know that this is just a speculative roadmap, been no commitment from our team on this. Okay, then we have the final words. Let's see. I think this looks good enough, but we have to implement the testing side of the signals as well, and then we have to look into the 9th chapter as well. So we'll see how this turns out. Abdulaziz is asking, Assalamu alaikum. I'm really passionate about web dev and I'm learning JavaScript. I want to know. So I'm gonna bring your question again. So Assalamu alaikum. I'm really passionate about web dev and I'm learning JavaScript. I want to know how being a junior we can enhance our learning and job opportunities in the world of AI era. So it's a big question, but I can try to answer quickly. So one of the things that you have to do in today's time, where we have so many AI tools, and it's really hard to distinguish between if what you have made has been made with AI or if you actually know what you're doing. The purpose of any recruiter to hire a developer is to understand if the person is good enough for the job, because that's what the companies are doing today. They're trying to find people who can quickly finish the job. And a lot of teams, especially if it's not a huge company and really product focused, they're not really willing to spend time on freshers or juniors, or to train them like with a dedicated senior resource, because they're constantly shipping, constantly working on features, constantly fixing bugs and whatnot. And in that particular manner, the companies are not inclined to spend too much time and effort for newcomers to join in, which means that the bar of what you need to actually get a job has risen a bit. So what I recommend actually contains a few things. So one, and I think that's the main criteria. The main criteria is that when you're trying to apply for jobs, you need to make it so that it takes the least amount of time for any recruiter to figure out that you are the right person for the job. Now, for that goal, you can do a bunch of things. You can create a bunch of projects yourselves. You can create projects in GitHub, have them deployed, have a good README, all those kind of things. And then once you have all those projects deployed, have good README, then you put them in your resume, your CV, and then you link directly to those URLs. So you have like, this is my project, this is what I built with, this is the technology stack, and you can also mention that this is the URL, so the recruiters can quickly go and check the projects out. So having a lot of projects is one of the things. Another thing would be that you try to network within the community, because there are so many CVs just going around and a lot of them are just based on AI. It's really hard for recruiters even to finalize like who's the right person. So you need to have a really good CV. You need to send a cover letter that actually shows you have read the description of of the particular job, and then you are applying because you're interested in it, not just you are click 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 and you're sending to all the people, because it's really hard for a recruiter also to distinguish between what is with AI and what is automated tools who are sending the CV versus an actual person. And I think in general they prefer an actual person who has read the job description, has the right skill sets, is the person who is applying. So yeah, I think that's what I would recommend. So avoid using AI to the point where you're not learning at all. That's really important. If you rely too much on it, then you're going to find yourself that you can't really work without AI at all, or you don't even know what you did in the past month, which is really really scary because you're not learning. The experience, we when we say a senior developer is experienced, the person is experienced because they got into an issue, tried to solve it, struggled with it, spent time with it, and then when they learned how to solve it and tried and implemented it, that's when they actually learn. And that's what actually is experience. So if you're not doing that, if you're just allowing the AI to do everything, then you're not learning. You are getting work done, but you're not learning from it. So it's a really good tool, of course, to boost productivity, to get answers fast, but it's anything that goes beyond like a regular use or excess of anything is gonna be harmful. So I hope that sort of answers what you're trying to ask. So I'm reading your question again. So we talked about job opportunities, and I mentioned you can have projects, you can try to network with the right people, go to conferences, go to meetups, try to also engage in Discord servers of people who are actually building something. So you get more exposure, you get more practice, you get ideas to what projects to work on, and then you also build connections with that. How do you enhance your learning? You have to set specific time for brainstorming, for working on things. So focus time of working is really important. One of the things that I recently did is I bought this watch. So if you see, it's like 30 minutes of timer. I think it's flashing because of the shutter speed of the camera. But essentially the idea is, if I have this, I can actually turn it on, and then I can focus on working specifically on a particular task. And every 30 minutes it beeps me. So even if I get distracted, I get back to work with the clock. So there are also online softwares for this as well. You can try to use those. One of the things that I also built for exactly the same thing was this application called Focus Doro, which is for the same thing. So you set a focus time, you start the timer, and then it reminds you after 25 minutes that your time is finished. Then you can take a break of 5 minutes, and then you can go back to focus. So focus break, focus break, focus break. So you can essentially go with that particular manner. So there's also other tools as well available online. So the idea is that you try to focus on something, and that really enhances your learning experience because you're not really distracted. Put your phone away for a while, and then follow a tutorial, but build something with it. So at the end of following a tutorial, you have something to yourself. Then after you have followed a tutorial completely, you can start modifying it. So let's say you built a to-do application. So start modifying it to organize to-dos into different folders, change the theme, change the font, try to also add more features, try to make the to-dos shareable, online, something, anything that adds more to what you learned from the tutorial, because that's how you learn. If you are following is just videos every day and just watching them, not even coding along, you're not going to learn quite a lot. And if even if you follow the tutorial like one by one, it's quite possible that you're just following and you're not really putting that in your memory. You're not really saving the information of what you learned. So one needs to do things multiple times to make a habit of it. For example, it's really easy for me to not Google a lot of commands related to Angular because I've done it so many times. So I can just go and start typing because I've done it so many times. But in the first, second, or third time, maybe I did quite a lot. So I hope that kind of makes sense. about what I've just said. Let me know if you have other questions. And again, feel free to join the stream if anyone wants to. The link can be found right here. So you see it no there. And you can ask the question on the stream as well. All right. So where were we? Let's maybe try to reset. This is chapter 8. Why does it say chapter 7? That's not correct. Let's fix that. So we go here and we change that to chapter 8. There we go. Okay, we probably have to, let's see. I think the 8 was about testing, if I'm not wrong. So 7 was interoperability, and yes, unit testing strategies. Yes. Okay, let's try to fix the test one by one. And again, feel free to ask any questions in the chat or to join the live stream. So I'm gonna also share this as well. Okay, so let's go with annex test chapter 8. I think once I have chapter 8 done, I'm pretty sure 7 was okay. Let's also try to run 7 as well. I think I finished 7 if I'm correct, because I don't want to leave a lot of things here and there. So maybe we can go with 7. And where is my, here it is. So let's go with 7. Yes, I think we finished 7 pretty nicely, yeah. And temperature critical. Ooh. So let's yeah, let's see the tests. Maybe we can also go test. Okay, so it seems like for 8 as well, I fixed most of the things. Maybe not all of them. Which ones are failing? Let's see. No test found related to files changed since last commit. But I don't want to go with this. And next reset. I want to reset this thing. I'm not sure when we do nx reset, does it also kill the last server? Hopefully not. Yeah, because it's running, so it's not going to reset it. Now it should be able to do it. Do it, do it, do it. Yeah, there we go. Now we can run the test, and we can also run watch. Let's remove the link as well. There we go. Okay. No test to find. NX run chapter 08. I think it just runs the same thing, but I want to see, I don't want to run with cache. So we have watch all, watch, output file, randomize reporters, max workers, blah, 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 clear cache. Yeah, so this is the one I'm looking for, because it's trying to not run those. Clear cache. So we want to run the test at least to see if everything works fine. Cleared. Can I now run with watch? That's not good. So we yes, no. No response. Okay. But what am I missing here? Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna go and try out the NX extension to see if that fixes anything. So we got the apps, we got 8, we got test, CI. Let's also see if I missed anything when it comes to possible options, because this should run the test, but this should also run. So watch files for changes and rerun all the tests when something changes. If you want to rerun only the tests that depend on change files, use this. Okay. Okay. Watch all. Okay. Yeah, I think watch all is what we are looking for. Okay, so I'm going to stop this guy. Let's close this and let's run this with watch all. Watch all. So that should fix it. Okay, so let's see which ones failed. So this one should have correct initial styles, expected pointer, received default. So this one is my button spec. Okay, so this one is trying to get the correct styles, but I don't think this. Okay, we got data test ID my button. So if I go here, we are actually getting data test ID my button, and then we're trying to say window.getComputerStyle button, and then we say click me. Okay, so let's test it out in the application as well. So if I go here, no, I have to run this as well. So let's run the chapter 8. Let's go to the app. Let's go to chapter 8. And let's go to my button. Okay, so now if I look into this guy, inspect, reveal, store as global variable, and we say temp1 dot get computed. Temp1 is a button, right? So where is my code? Sorry. So we got window dot get computed style, and then we say temp1. So we got all of this, right? Now if we look at let's look at cursor in this case. I think it's cursor. So we do have cursor pointer here, right? When we look here, styles.cursor. Let's see. Okay, so at least in the test, it doesn't really work. Which one is failing? So 2 failed. Huzair Ahmad Khan, Assalamu alaikum. Ahsan, how are you? I'm good, Alhamdulillah, thank you. Are you able to see the chat? Yes. Yes. Try to ask the question directly when you do that. So as soon as someone sees, they can directly respond. But yes, I can see the chat. Okay, so this one clearly does not get the styles applied. Let's see why. So we got my button component, which is being added right here. Then we create the component, then we get the component instance, and then we try to do all of these things. If we look at the styles from the button, we do have the styles being bound here as well. So we do have data test ID, my button, and then we also add the styles as well. But I think in the test environment, or when we are rendering it via just in JS DOM, we don't have the CSS applied. So I think it's pointless to test the styles, to be honest. We could look into the classes, but I don't think we should be looking into styles, to be honest. So I'm going to remove those. And I think we have another one, another test that looks probably like this as well. So Huzair, what's your question? I think the other one also is related to styles. No, this is interesting. Which one is this? This one is app component should render title. Receive value must not be null or undefined. Okay, and this is in app component TS. Maybe this was the initial test that I did not fix at all. So app component, we have lib header, right? And that has a title chapter 8. So if I go here, we have the header component where we have the header title somewhat around okay, let's take this question. The question is, I'm enrolled in a course where I studied TypeScript first, and then in the next semester we learned Next.js, not React, and my camera died. Now I am in semester 3. Give me 1 second. I want to change the battery of my camera, which also means that we are almost about an hour in. Yeah, we are in about 43 minutes. Okay, so you're saying I'm enrolled in a course where I studied TypeScript first, then in the next semester we learned Next.js, not React, and now I'm semester 3, we are moving to Python. I'm a bit confused. What are you confused about? I don't understand your question. What is the confusion? So you're in university, you're learning a few things as you go. So your course includes a few languages. What are you confused about? Macon says just use cursor. Why? I don't understand. Why? All right, so here we were looking at, while you type Huzair, I'm going to continue coding, but you can type what you're confused about. What's your actual confusion? This looks really bad when it's active actually, but we are going to change the color. But there was one test that was about the title. So here we have the lib header where we pass the title, and if we look at the title right here, there you go. So there, here we have. So we can also add a data test ID, and here we can call this app title, right? Now if I go to my app component spec ts, we should be able to find it. Should have as title chapter 8, but it's not actually that it should be. Should render a title. So this one could be app title, and then this should not say, it should actually say chapter 8 like this. So then it should be chapter 8, something like this. Let's see if all of our tests pass now. So Zaid is asking, should I convert to Python or stay with front-end dev and get good at it, or transition to Python where we will learn about agentic AI stuff? I'm currently not a solid front-end dev yet. I think you're right now in university, and what you should focus on, to be honest, is studying everything that you can. Right now is not the point where you want to specialize in something. So that's going to be my recommendation to you. Okay. So try out Python, try out the agentic AI and whatever you're learning. Keep yourself in front end. And as you said, you're not really good, or you're not really an excellent developer so far in front end as well. So you're just exploring. So explore everything. And once you feel like, okay, I like front end more, or I like back end more, or Python more, then you decide. So right now, don't worry about switching or transferring, because a lot of the times, and Lil Kid on TikTok, I'm also gonna take your question as well. But to continue, a lot of the times we get scared of, should we do this or that? Are we going to waste time? Why are we in a hurry? That I don't understand that. And even if you spend time in learning Python, the experience of learning something will still be useful going forward. So try to go and learn Python still, and then decide once you have tried all of these things, because right now you're at a time where a lot of experienced developers, they wish that they could go back to that time where they could try a bunch of things and then decide what to do. So right now you're at that moment. So even if you go with front end development, you still have scope, hopefully. And same goes with Python. Python has a lot of job opportunities as well. So both are really good. Now, if you asking in terms of what my opinion is about those two, which one is better, which one is not, then you have to be specific about your question on what you want to ask. But if you should stay with Python or convert to Python, as you said, or stay with front end, I think, to be honest, at this point where you are, it doesn't really matter. You can actually go with both. You don't have to do one or the other. You can still work on front end, you can still work on back end with Python. And if you start with Python, you can also start looking into things like backend frameworks like Flask, Django, in which you can create a backend, but still to show off your project to someone else, you would still have to have a front end. So I think it's good that you do both and don't think about one or the other. It's an institute, not a university. I think that's the same thing then. Until your course ends, you need to try out a few things and then decide this is what I like the most, and then go towards that. So I hope that answers the question. Lil Kid says, hey, greetings, sir. Please, I'm just a beginner and I state. What's your question? I don't understand the question. We have another question from Vlad that says, hello, hello, how would you design the following thing? Your parent component has a changing list of selected items. Okay. And inside your child component, you need to react and create corresponding form array. So the parent component gives you a list of items. And then in the child component, you're trying to generate a form array based on that list, if I understand that correctly. Okay. I think, so I mean, there are a bunch of ways to do this, but until we have more questions, I can maybe try to show. Wait, what happened? I clicked the wrong button. Sorry, give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so what we could do is, if you have a parent component and a child component, if I summarize it without coding it, it essentially like this. So you have so what you would do is, if this is your parent component and this is like the list that you're trying to create, something like this, in which you are selecting, let's say, a bunch of stuff, and then you have a child component here like this, which has a form like this, then what you could do is you could actually have this thing like here. You can actually have a view children for this, if that makes sense. So you have a view children query for this guy, and you pass this view children as a list where you say that this list is going to be thank you so much for the follow, appreciate it. I missed the notification, but thank you so much for the follow. My hands are super slow today. Okay, so in this case, you pass the list and you say, for example, if this is your view children, where you can say, I don't know, something like selected list equals, and then you have this view children right here. If that's what you have as the list, then you pass this list to the component, child component, like this, right? You pass it like this, which means, and I'm going to bring it here so you can see it clearly, which means that whenever there's a change in this particular list, you can react and generate the form array. You can react and generate the form array or regenerate the form array, or you can add items to it as well. So it really depends on how you want to go towards it. Now that I'm thinking about it, since you have the form array, it's quite possible that, so we go step by step. The first thing would be to have this view children as the selected list here. So let's say you select this guy and this guy, both of them have been selected. When you do this, the component should actually generate two items in the form. Like, let's say this is what happened. Now, if you add another one to the selection, then these should not be destroyed because the user might already have written something here or filled the form, right? Then another one should be added. So what you probably would want to see if there's a new item added or not. Then I think this doesn't work. Or having what do you call it? Having a reactive list then doesn't work because you don't want to re-render everything. So what I would do is, maybe not this at all. What I would do is that I will look into the selected items list and I will react based on the action. So let's say if it's something like, item selected, let's say. So you have item selected here. You basically listen to that particular event, and then you also have item unselected. Okay. Once you have this, what you can do is you can get this particular child component inside your parent. So you can say something like child component equals and you can get it via view child. And here you can say, child component. So you have child component right here. Then what you do is when you have item selected, you essentially can go ahead and then you can say, add form item. So you create a form item when there is an event like this, and then you can also do something like remove form item, right? One of the things that you would also want to do when you're trying to do this is keeping the ID as well. So let's say these items have a particular ID. So when you generate a form array here, and that has, for example, several forms. So let's say form control. You need to also give them the IDs of the particular form. So for example, this form control may not be a simple form control, but rather a form group. So you can say form group in which you can generate a few things. For example, if I don't know, if this was like full name or something, that can still be there, but then the form group should also have an ID. And this ID should be actually this selected items ID, if that makes sense. So this is something that really doesn't go to the backend or doesn't have any other purpose apart from just linking those things. So you have your item here. When it's selected, you add a form item, you pass the ID here. Okay, this form item, or you can call actually this, you can say child component dot add form item ID, right? That's what I was trying to say if it was not clear actually. Form item, and then here you also pass the ID. So in this sort of design, you're actually referencing your child component in your parent, and you're calling the methods of the child component from the parent. That's what I would do. So whenever, so you create a form array, and then when you have this particular function called, you add a form group to this array with the ID of the selected item ID that you're passing from here. So you can basically call it like this guy, if that makes sense. So that's what I would do. Does that answer the question, Vlad? I hope it does. Any tips to get fundamentally be solid at front end specifics, please? The tips would be to do a lot of front end exercises. So I think there were some, I can't remember, front end course, no, front end exercises. I can't remember. There was a really good tool, frontendpractice.com. This is the one. So in this one, you actually have, if I go here, you can see like levels, different levels of how hard can something be. You can start with a design, and then you can complete it. I'm probably not showing the screen. I'm so sorry. This is the one, sorry. So this is the frontendpractice.com. I'm going to actually share the link in the chat. Maybe frontend mentor was it. I don't know. But frontendprojects.com as well. Frontend mentor. Maybe I was thinking about frontend mentor. Let's see. Yeah, frontend mentor seems to be the one. So yeah, I mean, the specific is you need to practice. I can't get more specific than that. There's no shortcut. So you build projects, you practice, and that's how you get better. Easy peasy. The key is to practice. The key is to get stuck into things. Find the solutions, Google, read the documentation, search, ask AI, then make it work, then try it out, and then repeat. So keep doing that. And hopefully that solves the issue. I don't know, did we fix the test or not? No? Let's see. I thought I fixed the test. No? What does it say now? It says receive value must not be null or undefined. We got undefined, and we are looking at the app title.text to contain. Okay. Oh, but we had the wrong data test ID equals app title, and that's the one we are looking for. Let's see what happens now. Hey, let's go. So we got all the tests passed. We have a lot of logs. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I think it's okay for now. At least the person can see the logs. I think it's not too bad. So we have all the tests passed at least. By the way, what am I building? I'm working on a book, which is the Modern Angular Signals book. So hopefully, inshallah, once this is done, I'm going to publish this on Amazon. And for that, we have about 10 different chapters, as you can see. So I'm right now working on the chapter 8 of it, which talks about unit testing or testing with signals. So we have a bunch of applications here, and we have the tests for those as well. That's what I'm working on. By the way, if you're watching on if you're watching on a platform like TikTok, then you can rather go to YouTube, and feel free to join the stream if you have questions. So you can also join the live stream as well. I shared the link before as well. I can share this again, but I'm gonna go away. I may just go. I may just end the stream and continue working on the book, to be honest. But we will see. So the tests are passing. What I want to do actually is I want to make this nicer and similar to what we had before. So the weather component that I have looks like this, but that's not what we had in other applications. So if I open maybe here, weather info simple, I'm going to show you how cool this looks on the other chapters. So I think it's 5. Let me show you chapter 5. We have nicer implementations of the weather component. So let me show you. Yeah. So look at this. Doesn't this look much nicer than the other one? So we got resource on demand, got resource with error, and then we show the error, something went wrong, and then we got multiple cities. So we can get the weather information of Stockholm, which usually is pretty cold, or we could go from Italy. There we go. Nice. Jose says, great man, good luck with the book. I saw your React course, but after a while I visited the site again. But it got paid maybe. The React.js course has always been paid. I think there was a time when someone from the community, they donated some amount. I think it was about $100, and that had 33 or maybe 35 free slots because of the person's donation. And then I was able to provide the course for free for a while. And I think, more than 50 people still signed up. So some paid, some did not pay. But the React.js course is actually now on Udemy as well. Yeah, here it is. So it's available on Udemy. And if you want, you can get it. I think the Udemy has one thing which essentially is that you cannot really give custom discount. So you have to at least have a certain amount of price when you're actually creating coupons or something. So yes, we have about like 61 students who have enrolled so far. And I think it's, I don't know, usually what I see is it's like $9 instead of 19. So that's also something that that's pretty interesting. But if you go to the course via the website, you actually get a pretty decent discount. For example, let me show you. So if I open, oops, so if I show an incognito window, so like codewithsn.dev, if you go here and you go to courses, and then you go from here, you actually get a coupon code which allows you to get it instead of $41. I don't know why this is so expensive on Udemy. You can get it for just $10. And the course includes lectures, of course, but they also include all these important topics that you need to know, including testing, which not a lot of courses actually provide, or if it's even out there, it's super confusing on how to test React components, how to build robust code or components which you are really confident about that they work nicely. And then you also have quizzes, assignments, etc. in here as well. And I'm planning to add some more quizzes, some more assignments, and maybe a mock interview question as well. So yeah, if you go from the website, you get this coupon, which is like 76% off. And I think it's available, or it's sort of enabled for 1 week only, if I remember correctly. So I think after 7 days, because I fixed this today, this morning. So this coupon is going to expire in 7 days. Then I may do one more coupon. We'll see. Agu said, "Hi Hassan, long time since the last time that I watched you streaming here. Do you remember me? I'm from Argentina." Yes, Agu, I remember you completely. Did you change your Twitch name, or is it the same, or was it a bit different before? But I do remember you. How has it been? So I was hoping to actually do it like this. So what we can do is we can get inspiration from the weather info simple component, right? And why do we have this here? I can remove that. And I'm going to copy this guy, and we are going to replace, and we are going to keep the test running, okay? The tests are still there. So let me show you what happens when you try to change your code and someone else in the team tries to update the code and there are no tests. Then you probably wouldn't know if anything changed. But I'm assuming if I go to weather and if I try to replace all of this, for example, but we should be using the weather service. We do have a weather service here, right? But this is sending the hard-coded data. Okay, we'll see. So we go with this, and this should be called weather info component, which is the name still. So if I save this guy, let's see if the test is still pass. Okay, so the tests are running. Ooh, look at this. So the tests fail now. That's what I was talking about. So until you have tests, you would never know what happened here, right? So we had a few tests. For example, one of the things was this. So we did not have a loader before. Now we have a loader. We wanted to also should display the weather data after loading. So we expected this, but we received this, which is also a bit different. And then we also expected to have the services function called, and that did not also happen. So that's also super interesting. For our case, to be honest, I think I want to go with the resource approach and not the service. So in this case, since I have a completely different implementation, and this implementation, the component, is what I want, not the old one, which is the service. So I don't want to test the service or test that the component calls the service function. I want to test what we have here. So in this particular case, I have to update the tests and not the actual code. So we are going to see what the tests look like, and we're going to fix those tests. So here, let's go to the tests. So in here, the first thing that's actually failing is we have this guy. So should show the loading state initially. So expected is loading, but we got get weather info. Okay, let's see the tests here. So here we have should show the loading. Now it's trying to actually mock the service, which is going to be interesting because I don't really. I want to see how we are testing the resources. Angular.dev and a resource. Test, test. Where's the test? Okay. Testing Angular resource. There we go. So how to unit test an Angular 19 resource and trigger evaluation of input signals? So here, what is the answer? My impression expression, there is no mechanism to trigger re-evaluation of signals, blah, blah, blah. I tried to, thanks for your comment. Okay. First working solution was to add a pseudo component and use the fixture detect changes. Okay. So we got the test component here. Makes sense. Then fixture detect changes. Okay. Interesting. Hassan Studio says, who wins, India or Pakistan? I have no clue what you're asking about. If you're asking about cricket, I don't watch cricket at all. Where did we get the HTTP mock? Do we have the HTTP mock in from testbed? Something like this. Wait a second. So we got this, right? Then we got this. Interesting. We got HTTP client testing module, testing controller. Then we go and say HTTP testing controller. Aha, okay. And then we say HTTP mock equal. Okay, makes sense. So we start with here. By the way, if you are a fresh developer, you can see how developers code. You go to Stack Overflow or Ask AI, and then you basically work from there. But this was pretty old, right? It was like 2019. I don't know if this actually exists, but let's see. I want to see what exists in the package. So here, if I go to from Angular common HTTP testing. So if I try to find HTTP testing controller, we do have it. Okay. Then we can inject it. So here we can say HTTP mock equals testbed dot inject HTTP testing controller. So we got that, right? Then we can mock the responses. So the weather information component actually sends an API to assets weather JSON, right? So here what we can do is should loading. So here we should go ahead and say, actually, why don't we look at the documentation from HTTP mock in the here? So HTTP testing controller. HTTP testing. So here we have the testing module. The testing module has been deprecated. Testing controller is here. So we do have match, expect one, expect none. Okay, makes sense. We got match here. I also want to see HTTP testing controller to test request. So setup for testing here. So we got the HTTP client, configure testbed, provide HTTP client. Okay, so we need to do this. Then, okay, so we can actually do this as well. So in our tests here, providers here. So we can here go and say provide HTTP client, provide HTTP client testing, and then we can get this guy. So instead of, oh, wait a second. Yeah. So we can actually go like this instead of say HTTP testing controller. HTTP testing, there we go. Okay, then expecting and answering requests. So once we've gotten this, we can say expect one request to load the configuration. Okay. So to be get, interesting. Request flush. There we go, and then we await. Okay, makes sense. Comment. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So we go ahead with this approach. We first talk about the loading indicator, right? So we go here. We say that we got the request, which is actually assets weather JSON. Agu says, very good. The truth, you helped me a lot in the process of getting my first job in IT, and I'd like to thank you for that. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm really happy. I think this is messages like this which actually really help me do what I'm doing and providing information for free and live streams like this. So it's really good that you shared that. Yes, I helped. Thank you. There was also another person from Germany recently. I shared this on LinkedIn as well. He also, I think we had just a chat for about 15 minutes. And he, if I remember correctly, he was trying to search for jobs for months. And then it was him that actually followed some of the things that I mentioned, but he did really well in keeping a consistent streak of whatever I said, like creating projects, sharing on LinkedIn, etc., etc. And I think he got a job in like a week or two. So I think yes, you just need to take a step and give your best, and then you just leave it, and then things work well. Vlad says, I have a question. For testing, we have these attributes like data test ID or data CY. Is it okay that we have these attributes on production? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's a problem, to be honest. Sometimes you actually test things on production as well, or you have some tests on production. I don't think it's necessary to remove all of them, to be honest, but as long as they don't really have any information that's confidential, to be honest, they can still live there. You could remove it if you think that they're not really healthy at all, or there's a specific reason for doing so. I don't think it matters much, personally. Slava Big Bon, thank you so much for the follow. Okay, going back to this. So we pick assets weather JSON, which is exactly the call that we make here. And then what we do is we do a request dot flush. So the request is made. What did we miss? Default config. So we want to send the config in this case, delivering the result. And then we send back the response. So let's say we send back an empty object. Okay. Then we expect something, and then we verify. Okay. So then we want to expect that this really happened. Not to loading, to be honest, but I think what we should look into is this guy. So we say data test ID. We can call it weather loader, and we basically expect this item to be on this on the screen. So here we can do something like dot query selector, if I remember this correctly, or was it no? No, there was one thing that I could do it. Fixture dot debug element dot query, and here we give it like this. Wait, native element. What am I missing? Wait a second. It looks like the brain is not braining anymore. So we got the test right here. But this is what I did before, right? Fixture.native element. And I said, no, you can't do it. Native element dot query selector. And then we have this guy to be truthy. So we want this to be at least in the view. So let's see if this works. Okay, so 1 failed and 4 failed. So let's see if this guy actually worked. Expected 1 matching request for criteria request to load the configuration, but found none. Okay, so that means we should be actually waiting for this. We're gonna have to actually make sure that this was called, then we do this, and then we go forward. Let's try this again. I'm also gonna go quickly to the documentation to see something. So here we take the testing, we take the request, we do some expectations. The request is pending. Okay, and then that makes sense. Expect 1 request to get load the okay. Handling more than 1 request at once. We don't want that. Advanced matching. Expect none. Okay. So still the same number of errors. Let's see what happens. It didn't work. What? Why? So when we have the component done or run, because we also have this as well. I think we would have to test timers. So fake async control flow coding style. Okay. But I remember there was also tick. So wait for async, runs the body test, it's at a so we're gonna probably use fake async actually. Component binding, we do it like this, query for h1. This is where we get it. Create component, detect changes. Then we got automatic change detection. Interesting. Provide component fixture auto detect. Interesting. That I didn't know about. Change input, dispatch event, component with external files, component with a dependency, injector services. This actually is a really good guide. Then we got component with async service. And then we testing with a spy. Async test with yes. I think tick is what we want, but I think we would also have to go with fake async. So let's try this both. So we already have fake async here. We're gonna go and do fixer detect changes. We also want to have tick here as well. And then we try to test the test. So we had 4 failing tests, and we're gonna see if this becomes 3, hopefully. No, it doesn't. Let's see what happened here. So we did the tick, but we did not still have the weather JSON API call. What am I missing? Think, create, share, grow. So please guide me for Angular resources. For one of the things that you can find is the angular.dev site. So go to the tutorials and try to follow them. I think that's probably one of the best things that you could do. Then you can also look into the Angular crash course. I'm not really sure if you have looked into this. So I'm just going to say you have not. So if you try to find like Angular crash course, you can find this guy right here. I'm going to share in the chat, and you can see the link right here. I'm Kashi. How's it going? I'm good, thank you. So you can actually look into this as well. I think you start with this. Instead of having like 50 resources, just start with 2 and see where this goes. So I hope that helps. Alrighty, so I'm trying to understand now, if you have a component right here where we have a timeout, right? And we call the loader, and then we have the fetch right here. Oh, but the problem here is, now that I see this, the problem here is that we are actually running a fetch. And we're not really, okay, so let's actually, I think the reason is because we are making this fetch call. So it doesn't really get it, because we are not really using HTTP at all. So what we can do actually is we can go to weather service and have the function here. So that makes much more sense. So I'm going to actually cut this, go to service, and then I can do it like this and actually use our return this dot http dot get, remove this guy here. I also want to see with HTTP abort signal, HTTP client abort. Once subscribed, unsubscribing about. I don't think. Okay. Then we don't really need to pass the abort signal in this case. Okay, let's see. If I try to go with HTTP client abort signal. In Angular without switch map is what I'm looking at. So we do this, but we subscribe, but we do request and nah, that's not what I want to do. But that's not what I want to do. Let's see. Unlock the power of HTTP request cancellation. Of course. Can we open this? But we have a, this is what I'm going for. So we have abort signal here, and we are using fetch here. Exactly. So here, because since it's not really going towards fetch, we're gonna have to, okay, I'm gonna, oh, my camera died. I'm gonna actually get my book, because I think I have the answer in the book, but let's see. Let me bring it. Okay. By the way, for those of you who don't know, that's the Angular cookbook, 2nd edition. So let's see. I do remember having it in here. Position. 350. There we go. I'm trying to see, because we don't really use fetch at all in that case. No, it's actually the same thing that I've just done. Nothing is special in this case, to be honest. I'm thinking if I have to. Okay, let's try to do this actually. What I'm going to do is, we have the abort signal, right? We're going to have to modify the structure here. So we're going to go with promise weather data instead of this, right? Then we basically do a return of this. Oh, I'm not showing my screen, sorry. So I'm going to actually do this, and we get the abort signal. Abort signal. And here we have essentially an abort signal of type abort signal. And promise response is not aha, okay. But the fetch we have here, it doesn't have. I mean, yeah, I can do that. So we got response.json as. Oh, do I not have to type at all? I think it just says any. Okay, anyways. So we got the get weather here. We go to weather info, and instead of doing this magic here, we can actually call it. But the problem is, if we don't, the problem is still is the same. We won't have this caught in the HTTP client because we are not really making that request. So okay, then okay, let's do it like this then. But isn't that a problem if we are using resource and we are doing this manually? Oh, but that's why we have the HTTP resource now. Makes sense. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we're going to use RX resource instead of resource for now. We're going to probably fix this later on. Not resource. And then we can go import from RxJS, no, Angular core RxJS interop. We go here, we go with the Rx resource, and then we go here, and then what we do is we actually do return this.http.get. Easy peasy, no signal required, none of this is required, none of this is required, and this becomes an observable like before. What object? Aha, okay. So here we also need to do weather data and this. There we go. But we're not really. Do we should should we do that? I'm trying to see if I should be doing this. No, maybe not here. So let's, okay, so we can do it here. So we can do pipe, we can say delay, and we can say 200 milliseconds, right? And then what we can do is, instead of all this magic here, we can actually try to say can say return, and we have to have the service here as well. So weather service equals this dot weather service dot. Wait, what am I doing? Sorry, I was lost in my train of thought. So we inject weather service. Okay, then we say return this dot weather service. This dot weather service dot get weather. Okay, then what we do is we pipe here. Okay, then we put a catch error here. So we have the error something like this, and then what we do is we say throw new error. We don't really have to do this, to be honest, but we are going to say just could not fetch data, and otherwise we don't need all of this at all. And here, why does this cry? Promise observable data. Why? What? We have RX resource. Oh, sorry, async. There we go. And we don't need this guy, and we don't even need this. Okay, so now I first want to try this out in the app, so we can be sure that this works. So let's go to our application, refresh, and it seems to be working. But sorry, is that the right code? No, it's, oh, it is? No, it's not, right? So we go to chapter 8 and then we try it out. Okay, now this looks good. And you see the weather JSON is not found because we don't have it. We do have it in chapter 5 actually. So if I go here, app, I think it's in the assets rather, or public assets. Yeah, so we need to have these inside chapter 8 as well in public. Oops. Was it inside assets? And then I paste it inside. There we go. Now if I refresh, not found because I have to restart my thingy. How about now? Oi. There we go. Now it works. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Good. Now I can actually test things out. So let's go to tests again. Snowy. And then we go here. I'm also going to try to see. Okay, so it seems like one of the tests already passed. I think that was the, no, not the expected ones, but something else. Anyways, so going back to the tests here, actually, what we should do, since now we are actually making an HTTP call, we should be checking if this works. So we go to tick, and then we got this guy. Wait a second. What did I miss? 350. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see. So we should have the expect one Request to load the configuration. When we do this, we have a description and we do fake async. We do trigger the change, and since the resource has to directly render this, I think this should all be triggered, but it doesn't. Let's see. And now behind the scenes, when we go to service, we are actually using the HTTP client, which goes to assets, weather.json. It makes it a bit delayed effort. I'm gonna try to see if it actually fixes this. It's still 3. Okay, so this doesn't work for sure. Makes sense. And then I can actually go here, and instead of 200, we had 1500. All right, let me think. So at this point, we are trying to run the weather API. Oh, I think I know why. Because we are not really using, no. But we have this get weather, right? This one essentially doesn't make the HTTP call. So we can't really have that as a spy here. If we make it a spy, then the call would never run. So instead of this, we should be not providing this, not providing the weather service spy, which is gonna make a couple of services angry, to be honest. But I want to not have to do this and rather have the testing done for the API. We're gonna see. Wait a while. So let's see. Because that's what I understood from so far. So because we have the test or the service being spied, the API call never works. It should actually work this time, or at least the call should be there, I hope. There we go. Right? So the HTTP call now went because we removed it from the spy. Now it's trying to find the element, but it's not really working. So data test ID equals to whether loader is not a valid selector. What? Ah, you are actually right. My bad. Should actually be like this. Let's try this again. And we'll also change this to weather info. See, now instead of 3 failed, we have 2 failed. Hey! And we only have 2 failing, which means that this guy actually worked fine. Let's go. So should display weather data after loading. Let's fix that one. Should display weather data after loading, right? So in here, we can go and copy this. And we mock the stuff here. We also basically get the JSON, right? This. So we mock this guy, and we expect to have fixture.nativeElement.text content. This is inaccurate, so we need to give test IDs to the right component. So here we have the value. So we go here and say data test ID weather temperature, and then this one data test ID weather condition. So we need to test these accordingly. So here we go and say query selector, and here we say data test ID weather temp to contain this guy, and then we also need to do the same thing for this guy, and we say weather condition. Let's test it out now. So 2 tests were failing before. And 2 are failing still. All right, what went wrong? So in this case, it should display weather data after loading. Request to load weather info. Found none. Wait a second. So we had fixture detect changes, tick, expect 1, request flush. Oh, we have the code at the wrong place. Fixture detect changes, here we should have it. Let's see now. All right, so in this case, it did not find this particular value. Okay, once we have this as flushed, I think we should have the detect changes afterwards. Once this has responded, then we should have the detect changes. All right, what now? So we say data test ID weather temp. Okay, let's quickly check if everything that we wrote is right. All right, if weather resource has a value, then we do it. Okay, so I want to also have a map here, or like a tab here, just to see the val. Console.log, or I could actually say something like this. So I want to see what happens when it has any errors along the side. So let's see, where did you fail? All right, here you can see that we have this guy failing and we have an empty object here. I think I know what the reason could be, because we are not really doing verify. So we should be able to also say after all, because we also saw that in our documentation as well, right? Verify here. So this. Yes, so that's what we want. Let's see. So we do a flush and then we expect and then we verify. All right, so we have some issue there. Why did we get 2 different calls? That doesn't make sense. All right, let's do things one by one. What I'm going to do is error message on error and this. I'm going to actually comment these out just for the sake of clarity, so I'm not really making any mistakes. So we got 1 that's here. Okay, so 1 still fails, which is this one, I think. Yeah, the second one. In this case, we've gotten the console log having an empty object. But why do we have this actually? That doesn't make sense. Wait a second. All right, let's see. So we got the service, config service. We got this guy, then we got this guy. Then we expect 1 configuration, and then flushing the request causes it to complete, delivering the result. But do we in our test do anything related to I don't even want to do this, to be honest. Fixture detect changes is good enough. I'm not really sure if tick is required, but let's see. Let's see. Yeah, that doesn't really change anything. So we make the HTTP call assets weather JSON. Then, but is it because we're using no? Fake casing should still be there. Pa, 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 pa. Then we make the API call. But this is also I think because we should be doing flush the set timeout. Then we do a request flush, but this was object. But why does this get an empty object? That doesn't make sense. I'm assuming this is because of the previous one. This one, right? But then it should be no, I want to see one more thing. So this. Maybe because I'm using the wrong one in the after each. That could be the case. I still see the empty one in this case. So the loading state initially actually works well. I'm going to remove this and we'll put this right here because it's the same thing. Status text options. The options have headers. Okay, I want to see one thing. But I'm gonna try to see the tests first. Okay, so the same thing. So if I try to change this flush, change the temperature to 28 just to see if this is the thing that's causing the issue. So you see the first one is being console logged here. I think it could be because we are going like this. But then for the second component, when we go here, we do fixer detect changes. Then we do a tick. Then we check a HTTP request expect 1. The call is still made. But when we do flush, oh no, wait a second. I want to run the tick here as well. So data test ID weather temp. Then when I see here, we have P having the data test ID weather temp, which makes sense. So the problem that I see here is that once we have the loader, the data still doesn't show. If we look at the actual application right now, we refresh, we see the data. We see the loader, we see the data, and the temperature here also comes in as well. Yeah, but it takes a bit of time. But should we be okay, so we also have the millis as well. Okay, so let's then go with this route. So we go with the 2000, and I want to see what happens here. Maybe this is the missing piece. So we need to do a flush set timeout, but with a timer instead of just putting it out there. So temperature 28. This is for the first one actually, which is still seems to be fine. And in this particular case, we actually want this to be falsy, to be honest. So we make the call. And I want to also check one thing. So if I refresh and if I check fetch XHR, the call is actually made instantly, but the data is not returned. So I don't even should need to have this. Anyways, and here I want this to be falsy, but what I suspect is that the loader is still being shown. Let's check it out. All right, let's see this guy, right? So here you can see that we still are showing the loader. The loader is still being shown, which means that the value or the signal has not changed. Well, why is that? Because otherwise, if the weather resource has a value, if it's loading, then we do this, otherwise we do this, right? So we have the HTTP call here, we do a pipe delay. That should actually get the value done. Once we fulfill the request, should we then have a takeoff to 1000 milliseconds? I'm lost actually. Maybe. Let's see. I want to test it out now. Yeah, that was the actual thing. See, so once we have made the request, after that we had to have this thing. What if I remove it from the top? So we do a fixture detect changes. It should make the call. Then we do a flush when it sends the response. And then we do the tick 2000. Now to confirm, and you need to look this closely. If I just do 1000, this is not going to work because we have a 1500 milliseconds delay. So 1000 should still give us this error on this, that the loader is still being shown. And we'll see that. So if I move a bit up, you see, this is complaining about the loader. So the loader should not be there, but it is there. If we change this to 1500 exactly, then it should also. Now I'm a bit confused about this 1500, but I'm assuming that this should solve the issue. But sometimes it's a bit flaky because set timeout claims that it's not 1500 milliseconds, but I think the code behind the scenes should still be the same. So now it should not complain. There you go. So now it's not complaining about the loader, but actually complaining about the weather temp. Anyways, so here we should not have this. We should have actually text content to contain this guy, and then we should also have but in the weather JSON, what do we have? We have 25, right? So we say temperature 25, and then this dot text content. And with that said, I think we probably would have fixed this. Let's see. Hey, look at this. Everything passes. Good. So we can now use the same logic here, and I can remove the service here. For now, we don't really use the weather spy at the moment, so we should not be worried about that at all. And which means I can remove this guy, have a bit nicer tests, and now we can look into the error thingy. I don't think we show an error, or do we? Do we show an error? I think we should be showing an error. No, we're not really showing an error. So else we have this. So we should be showing an error with, where is it? Simple component. So with error is this one. So we do something like this. Else if we have an error, we do this. So weather info component, paste it like this, and save. So if we have an error, then we should be saying could not, something like could not fetch. So like this. So then we should be saying could not fetch, and then we do a fixture detect changes, which triggers the API call. We should also be mocking this to say, I don't know, how do we throw errors in this case? Is it then request.error or request, I don't know. There we go. Resolve the request by returning an error event, simulating a network. Wait, this is deprecated. What? HTTP request never emit an error event. Please specify progress event. Now I want to see this. Okay. So progress event. This one is not deprecated. Status and status text. Okay. So then what we do here is we have error event or we have progress event. What is a good example of a progress event? Let's go to see the progress event here. So progress event can be created like this with the given parameters. And then we have something like this. So we say progress bar, blah, blah, blah. I want to see the example of it. So we have a type here. Progress, length computable true, loaded, total. Okay. Okay. So this is optional, this is optional, this is optional. So if we go and say here, new progress event and type, what can be the type here? Type. A string with the name of the event. In case sensitive and browser set it to, okay, so we got error here. Good. And then we should try to find the component with the error. So here we have alert here where we can say data, test ID, weather, error. So we copy this guy, we go here, and then we can say query selector, and there we go, to contain. But what do we show in the error? Is it it's just the error, and the error we were throwing was actually somewhat here, could not fetch data. Let's see if this passes on the first run. Do we have enough confidence here? Let's see. No. Okay, let's see what happened here. So we expected one, which should not be here in the first place if we don't have a fixture detect changes. After it, we should also go and have take 1500. There we go. Oh, we could have used this error as well to contain error message. Oh, but this should actually be text content. So I have to save this now. Pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up. Have I made it a mistake? And the API calls. That's not an issue, I think. Oh, but oh, there we go. 8 of 8 pass. Let's go. So we see the error message. That's good. To contain error message. If we change it to something like this should fail, which is also a good way for testing. So when you have your test passing, just flip a switch and double check if it's actually passing or not. Right? So you see this one is failing. So this says it was could not fetch data, but the actual receive string is error could not fetch data. Well, that makes sense. So here we actually go ahead and do like this. So error, and here we say error message. Right? Let's save this. So this passes. There we go. And finally we fix one more. So this should also be passing then. And this one was about should call get whether on initialization. I think we already tested it, right? Yeah, we already tested it, so we don't really need to do it. Or we could, to be honest, but then we would have to create a spy out of the weather service. So let's see. So if I go to here, we had some code. No. Here, copy change line. So we put it actually in the last one. But can I override the provider on a test level? I think here we can do it. So we had let's see. I want to open one more. So this is going to be stub. No. Stub. Stubbing and spy. This. I want to do this spy, but I want to do it in one test only. Right? So here, let's see. So we are trying to get it here. Then we do it. Let's see. I want to see here. Can I do something like testbed dot override provider? There we go. So here we can say weather service, and here we can say provide. No, is it not that? Okay, then can we use something like what we had? There we go. Copy change lines. So if I could do that here, something like this. Just on mod function. No, I did not mean that. But isn't okay? Wait a second. Wait a second. Probably looking at it the wrong way. So when we go here, we are providing override provider, right? Then we have depths, we have multi, and we have token, and then we have provider. So we have to use the use factory here. Okay, use value. Let's go with this. And then we go here and we say get weather. And then we go back to this and we copy the guy that we had before. Like this. Okay, so we go here. Wait, where's my file? That's not my file. That's my file. So we go here and then we do something like this. What in the sorcery is this? Okay, let's remove this. So observable and weather data. Okay, so this could actually work, right? Then we can do this. But then we also have to have the just spy as well. Where's my spy? So we go here then, and then we copy this guy, and we say const type of, is it just spy? I don't want to do any of this. Why was this here before like this? So we, wait a second. Where did we get the spy from? If we go with the spy only, this doesn't exist. Where did it get from before? Super confused. So spy. But that's before. Anyways, I'm gonna close this. Wait a second. I'm gonna change this to any. Sorry, mom. RxJS. And what I want to do is we have the get weather here, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually say const get weather equals weather service spy dot get weather as just dot mock function. Why don't we have any types at all here? Import from just spy mock. Nope, nothing there. I want to see what does just have. Where are you? Node modules. Just. Okay. Not really helpful. Just mock. What does this have? Do we have anything like just mock? No. Spy instance. I think we could actually work with that. Let's see. Spy instance. Ooh. Okay. Do we have something like a mock function? Mock function. Can I please use you as a type here? Okay. Type of weather spy. Get weather spy service spy dot get weather. Then we say get weather. Hey, let's go. Who's the TypeScript champion here? Let's see if the test pass. Did that work actually? Yeah, it worked. Okay. I had my headphones off. Okay, so what are we failing with? Let's see. Cannot override provider when the test module is before inject before override provider. But the thing is, I don't want to do it for every single provider. I want to do it only for one. If that makes sense. Then I'm actually questioning if I should even test it at all. Because I don't want to test if the function was called. Or we could also just say just.spy on, to be honest. And we don't have to do all of this. If that makes sense. So we don't have to override the service, right? What we could do is we could say something like could say const get wed, or we can say something like spy on, and here we can say component dot weather service dot or weather service, and then we have get weather, right? We could just do that for this one because it would be so much easy. But this is a way that you could also do it. So I remove this guy, I remove the spy, and I don't have this, and then I enable this guy, and then I just say component dot weather service dot get weather to have been called. Like it should have been just this easy. I don't know why I spent so much time, but let's see. Ooh, it's not as easy, looks like. Just dot spy on. Okay, so HTTP testing verify. Ooh. Expected no open request, found one. Right? I think that's because we are not really. But we. That's weird. That's actually weird. This one, we spy on the weather service, get weather, right? So no HTTP calls should be made at all. Where is this being called from? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The component should be truthy. If I go and if I comment out all of these. Wait, don't. If I comment out, let's say all of these folks, then there should be only one test and that runs. But it also probably be, and I just saw my camera die. But it also throw the same error, but it doesn't, which is weird. So let's try this again. I'm gonna enable these. And I don't know why, but just because of this one. Oh, maybe it's because because we are not really using face async. Could that be? Sorry, what did I miss? Okay, wait a second. So we got a fake async, and it should be like this. Let's see. I don't know, maybe I made a mistake here. Run again, please. Is it gonna run? Yes. Okay, so we still have the same issue, most likely. HTTP testing verify. So why does this make an extra call? That doesn't make sense to me. When we go with weather service, get weather, right? Then we do a fixture detect changes. So it should actually start making an API call. So we got the weather service here. Then we do weather service get weather pipe. Okay. We're gonna also remove the console log here. But when it does, it should just come here and this should be fake. That's what I'm trying to understand. And test that tries to mock stuff, this fails for. I don't have a good answer for this, but I don't know. If I try to move this test like up top after this, I want to see what happens. Does it still fail or does it pass? We're gonna see. Fails, right? Does that mean we want to do verify here, or I want to test something here. So if I do here HTTP testing dot verify. Hmm. But we are not really using we're not really are we providing this anywhere? I don't think so. We're not really even providing the service here. So this is super confusing. Why is the API call being tested here? So if we have weather service, if we don't really provide weather service, how was this even working? That's mind baffling. That did not impact anything at all. So, oh, because, okay. No, but, no, I'm wrong here. Should not be providing it. That's also provided in root, and it tries to find it regardless. So I think the brain is not braining anymore. Let's see. So if I try to not do verify in this one only, that would fix it. But I'm interested in knowing why. I think the reason is because we are not really making an HTTP call or test or using testing here. But this shouldn't even be. So we're going component.weather service get weather. This should be converted to spy at this moment. Okay. I think get weather equals. So we got the spy instance here. I want to check that this was called. But I still think the API call should not be there. When we look at the component, it tries to say weather service.get weather. Okay. If I override the weather service and create I spy out of it, because this is spying only on jest. I think it still does not convert this component into a spy. I'm going to double check. Fly above the mist is asking a question. Should we still learn to code in 2025? If so, then how to stand out in the era of AI? Should we still do it? Yes. How to stand out in the era of AI? It doesn't matter if you look into AI or not, to be honest. What matters is, do you have enough proof to show that you are skilled? And that means that you have projects that you have built with. And then when you go into interviews, are you able to clear those interviews? That's what's important. So it doesn't matter if you're using AI or not. I would say use AI to the point where you are actually learning and not really blindly letting it do all the things. So yeah, that's how you do it. You need to have enough proof that you know your work in a polite manner, and then also you should be able to crack interviews. I think that's what matters. Not this one. Well, we want to test the services. Do I want to use ngmox package? I don't think so. So I hope that answers the question at least. Mm-hmm. 334. 334. And we have here. Yes, so just.spy on is actually what I did. And we can also have mock return value, but I don't understand it, to be honest. I think the test should never actually call the actual function per my code, but it does, which is super weird. I don't know why. If I remove all of them, right? Let's try this. So if I try to go to weather service, and we have this function, right? I say something like console log, and here we say I am in the actual function. If that's the case, then it should never go into this function since I'm already spying over the function. And when you set a spy on a function, it doesn't call the actual implementation. But here you see it's actually inside the actual function. I'm in the actual function. That should not happen. That is the purpose of spying, essentially. Or I might be completely wrong and things changed. So if I do just.spy on weather service, get weather, then that function should have been, okay, let's say expect true to be true, right? I want to try this out. So we still spy, we don't expect a function to be called, but the function still will be called. The verify thingy fails. Okay, what if we do something like, I think maybe we are not really creating a mock. That could be the case. What? It's a mock, right? So mock instance provide access to the mock metadata. Mock implementation, right? So here we say return of this. Then we don't get to have this. What? Why is it? Expected 0 arguments. What? What are you talking about? Sorry. It should be mock implementation. Okay. So we do return of this. Okay. Yeah. We can do that, to be honest. We go with this. And we go with this. Okay. So we got get weather here. I want to see now what happens. So we do have a mock implementation of the function. There we go. Okay, so the problem was that just when it spies, it doesn't really mock the implementation. When Jasmine does it, then it's also mocked. So that was the weird issue. Okay, anyway, so when we say get weather, this is actually, so now we can also expect this to be called and remove this guy. Now I know. And when I write the book, I can also mention this. Hey, let's go. All right, with that said, I think I'm gonna go and I'm gonna end the stream right here. It was fun. Not too many questions today, but that's fine. We'll continue doing these streams. And before I actually go, I'm gonna also show you that we have all the tests passing. I actually had some commented. So we put these back. And now that we have the test passing, I'm also going to be trying to sort of improve the apps for the book. So let's see. 850 passed, 853 passed. So all of the tests are actually working, and I can actually go in my service and remove this guy. We don't really need that anymore. No console logs, and everything works. Cool, awesome. Let's run it for the last time. There we go. Good. With that said, I think we'll wrap it up. So thank you everyone who joined today. As always, happy coding. I am going to see you next time. Take care. Bye.